Today on Pilgrim Radio's His People, David and Alicia Lloyd on the martyrdom of their son and daughter-in-law in Haiti.
The testimony out of that was throughout the night, every time the shooting stopped, they could hear Davy's voice echoing across the compound, across the area, of him quoting scriptures in Creole, preaching to the guys in Creole, just telling them that what Christ has done for them and how this wasn't right. So after hearing that and knowing that he preached up to his final breath, that I do know a God showed up, and I've been able to settle that question, God, where were you? That knowing God was there because it was supernatural strength that gave him the ability to do that up to his very last breath.
That's David and Alicia Lloyd next. You've probably heard the story of Davy and Natalie Lloyd, a young couple who were serving as missionaries in Haiti when they were brutally murdered by gangs there in 2024. Today, Spencer Dalkey talks with Davy's parents, David and Alicia, about their book, Strong to the End, the simple service and sudden sacrifice of the martyrs in Haiti.
What inspired you guys to write Strong to the End, and how God led you there?
So initially, after the death of our children and Jude, I was just so devastated. And I asked God, I was like, where were you when all this happened, that you allowed this to happen? And after we had the funeral and my husband and some of Natalie's family went back to Haiti, we learned that Davy had in fact been preaching to these people as they were beating on him and killed him. And I said, we've got to tell his story about how he was faithful until the end. So I reached out to Dean Merrill, and he got back with us immediately to help us start the process of writing this book.
And I understand Davy and Natalie were your son and your daughter-in-law. Is that right?
Yes.
How did God call you guys, and I guess your son as well, to missionary work in Haiti?
Well, I grew up in a very mission-minded church outside of St. Louis, Missouri, and we was always having missionaries come through. And one day there was a missionary from Haiti, and I was just a young boy, and I felt like the Lord spoke to my heart and said, someday you'd be there. I wrestled with that calling during my teenage years, trying to go back and forth on it and say, I was just a young kid. I was emotional. It wasn't really God speaking to my heart, but it just kept coming back, and went to community college for a year. And when you're running from the will of God for your life, you're not happy. And it was just I knew it wasn't where I was supposed to be. And then I decided that about halfway through the first year, I said, I'll just go to Bible college next year and see how this will all work out. So we went to a Bible college in southern Missouri, and with the idea that someday I'd be in Haiti. And then Lisa was there at the college, and she felt a burden for missions, and the Lord put us together and got married in May of 97 and went to Haiti in April 98. And that's where we've been since then. Up to 2 years ago, we thought we had it all figured out, that we would be there most of our time. And then with the gang situation just continually getting worse and worse, and then attacking our compound, and we haven't been home. I left on May the 22nd, the day before the Davy and Natalie and Jude was killed, and we haven't been home since. We've been to Haiti. The children have been relocated and staffed to the northern part where the gangs have not reached yet. So we go down about every 6-7 weeks to visit with them and love on them, just let them know they're not abandoned. But that's kind of the short version of how we got to Haiti.
I've heard that it's a pretty violent country. Can you tell us a little bit, I guess, about Haiti?
Yes, Haiti's always had problems, a lot of political instability, a lot of natural disasters. We've been through the earthquakes, the hurricanes, famine. I mean, just everything that a country can experience, Haiti has experienced it. When we went, of course, it wasn't like it is now. You could get out after dark. There was restaurants that were available, some stores and different things, where people were having a life. And then things were bad during the early 2000s, a lot of kidnapping and the gang situation. And then they got that under control again. And then started back with gang situations, probably about 2017, 2018. Little community started dealing with gang problems, and then it's just continued to grow and grow because the police were never able to stop it because of they were outgunned and outmanned. And even to the point that the president of Haiti was killed in 21. So it's continually getting worse. I tell people it's probably the most dangerous place on earth right now. Just this past month in our area where the mission compound is located, gang fighting once again. I think the official report 600 and some was killed, but the unofficial report is, way up above that. Just continually problems in and around the Port-au-Prince area with the gangs going farther outside the city and trying to get more of the country area and just little villages that are nothing but mud huts. They just go in and take them over, run the people out, steal what they want, and destroy what little bit the people have. I think right now the current UN estimates is 1.5 million people out of the 12 million people are displaced. And it's a terrible situation, only 700 miles from the United States.
How has your ministry, I guess, kind of evolved over the last 25 years? I understand that you were down there.
Yeah, the first 2 years, it was just kind of getting a feel of what the Lord would have us to do in the country of Haiti. We worked with another mission our first 2 years, and then started missions in Haiti the same summer that Davy was born. We started our nonprofit organization, Missions in Haiti, in July of 2000. Davey joined us also, and then we went back in September that year to start with a small children's home because we saw the need for children. A lot of children didn't have parents. A lot of them have one parent but couldn't care for them. And then, of course, the poverty orphan situation is terrible in Haiti also. With so many children, they're not able to provide for each one in their family. So we started a children's home with the idea of just maybe 12 kids and having a Haitian school and a church someday as the Lord provided. That was the original board meeting I had with our pastors that I had asked to be part of the board. And then up to 2 years ago, it had grown way larger than we ever imagined. Lisa and I, we've raised over 100 kids now. We have both boys and girls. One of the largest Haitian schools in the country, American school, a lot of job creation we've done in the past few years because of the raising children and the unemployment rate is so high in the country of Haiti. We had to provide jobs for the kids as they become adults. So he's able to do that through commercial bakeries, sewing factory, schools that we've opened and different things. The future was bright. Davey grew up in Haiti, so his first language was Creole. He spoke Creole before he spoke English. He loved the country, and we graduated from high school down there, and we encouraged him to come to Bible college and just make sure he knew the direction God had for his life. We told him, don't come back because you feel sorry for your mom and dad and that we need help, but don't come back because you feel sorry for the Haitian people, but come back because that's where God has laid upon your heart, and that's what you're supposed to do with your life. So he had kept it. It was during his 4 years of Bible college. That was all he talked about, was just getting home. And then he met Natalie there, and they got married. And he did a few mission services before they came back full time to the country, trying to raise some funds. And he would introduce Natalie as the missionary, and he was just going home. So we was excited about the possible reaching out to further communities and areas with Davey and Natalie. They're helping us. Once the gang situation got under control and you could travel the country, we were looking forward to continually planning churches and schools and just helping where we could. But sometimes our ideas and our plans, God has a different direction he wants to go. And we've been struggling with that for the last 2 years now because our Haiti's our heart. Like I said, we're just there for a short time every 6 weeks or so now. And we miss everybody when we're not there, and we don't know what the future holds. Right now, it's just basically keeping the children safe and some key staff on. So if the gang situation is ever dealt with and we're able to reopen the school and the church and everything we had going on there around the mission compound, we'll have the staff still in place to be able to do that. And I'm believing that maybe someday soon we'll be able to do that and just let the Haitian young people that we've raised step into leadership roles and continue the work that Missions in Haiti has started. And hopefully we'll be able to continue.
How did God, bring Davey and Natalie together, and how did they help you guys around your schools and orphanages?
So Davey, when he went to Bible college, he told several girls, he's like, if you're not interested in going to Haiti to live, don't talk to me. But so him and Natalie, they were both kind of shy, but they they talked to each other, and she really had a heart to do something for God too. And she came to Haiti for about a week on a mission trip with a group from the church, and she really fell in love with it. So she knew that she could handle it there, and we saw that she just let all the kids, jump on her, braid her hair, do whatever. We knew that she was going to be able to make it there. And so then after they got married and came back, Davy just did tons of maintenance work to help get the compound. We had let a lot of things slip, just David and I, and he was able to come in and get a lot of that done. And he taught Bible courses in the Haitian school. He preached in the church. He just helped out wherever it was. And Natalie, she helped in the English classroom that we had. She helped there, and then she would just basically help with the kids, anything they needed, first aid for them, or just playing with them, playing games, teaching them games, stuff like that. So that's kind of what they were doing when they were there.
Introduce us to this Jude fellow that you mentioned, who ended up getting caught up in this attack as well.
So Jude has actually worked for us since 2004, and he was a very faithful employee. He's one of our best friends in Haiti, actually. And when our kids were small, they called him Uncle Jude because he was just such a part of our family. He would always come over for birthday parties, lunch on Sunday, everything like that. And he'd only been married 7 years when this happened. So before all that time, he had always just been like part of our family. And actually now his two kids, they call us Grammy and Pappy. So that just maybe kind of gives you an idea how close our families were, that we just considered each other family. So.
Native Haitian, I take it, that
Yes.
you guys partnered with.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anything that Missions in Haiti has been able to accomplish, Jude has had a hand in it. He's tremendous man of God. Had a hope for his country, for revival, that people would receive Christ as their Savior. And then he had a tremendous burden for education, because he realized education was going to be what would help the country if the children could get a good education. So he worked tirelessly to make sure that the school was one of the best, and the curriculum we were using and developing was some of the best, and just had a tremendous impact on his country.
So I guess, can you walk us through a little bit like what happened? I understand it was May 2024 that like a gang or maybe several gangs attacked your missions compound?
The gang situation in our area had grown. It was becoming more intense. We did have like several gang family members that were attending our school, and they would come by, and the gangs would talk to us, or as we went to town, we'd have to go through the checkpoints and different things. So we knew they were there, but they were pretty much allowing us to function without any problems. So, we understood that when people are on high, full of the devil or high or drunk, that sometimes they make non-rational decisions. So we knew it was a possibility that things could go bad, but we didn't really feel like at that time that they were focused on us. It was more, political, against the government, against other Haitians, to try and just steal what they had. So that night, Sam, my youngest, and myself, we had come to the States the day before. The airport had opened up the week before, and flights had started. So I'd given Davey and Natalie the option. I said, would you like to go in first to take your 2 weeks and then come back, and then Sam and I can go, because Alicia had come out a couple weeks before that and that wasn't able to get back because of the airport being closed. So they said, no, we're good. Go ahead and take your 2 weeks, and then when you guys can come back, then we'll go in. So that afternoon, the next day, so we left on Wednesday, got actually back to Oklahoma here that Thursday morning early because of delayed flights and different things. And then that afternoon, Sam wanted some McDonald's. He hadn't had McDonald's for a while, because being in Haiti, there is no McDonald's. So him and Elise went to town and placed my order. And while they were gone, I got the first phone call. It was actually from Jude. He says, Pastor, I don't know what happened, but my wife was at the church, and he said that a gang grabbed Davey when they came out of the youth service that night after church and had drug him into the compound, and I don't know what's going on. And I was like, Jude, I said, please find out for me what's going on. Oh, I started immediately praying. Sam and Lisa came back and threw the food on the table, and they started praying. And I don't know, time goes it's hard to judge exactly the amount of time, but maybe 10 or 15 minutes, I get the call on Jude's phone. And Davey was on the line. He's like, Dad, they took everything. I'm sorry. He says, I said, well, what's going on? He said, yeah, they grabbed me after church. And I said, are you okay? He goes, well, I've got blood running down my head from where they've smashed my head into the wall and got hit with the butt of the gun. I said, you need to get to the hospital. And he's like, yeah, I will. I'll go in a minute, but I got to get some things situated here to make sure that the kids will be safe before I leave. So he was trying to block the gate and different things. So if something was to happen again. The first gang came in and they stole the vehicles and the safe and all the electronics, and they kept saying, we're not here to kill them. We're just here to take what we want. And Davey hadn't heard this, but later, and this is just like testimony we've got from the kids and the staff that was there that kind of heard some of the things that took place. And they said that it was overheard that some of the gang members were saying, we got to hurry before the next gang gets here. I don't know if they had it set up where one gang was coming, and then after they were done, the other gang was coming to steal what they wanted. Nobody really understands what they were saying. So Davey, while I was on the phone with him in that first initial conversation, he's like, Dad, I got to go. Something else is happening. And they were down at our personal home, Alicia and mine, which is on the mission compound. It's a small house that we'd built about 4 years before this, and moved out of the mission house. And Davey and Natalie was living in the mission house upstairs in the apartment. And so they barricaded themselves in the home because they were down there using the satellite connection to talk to us. And Natalie, and since Jude was with them and he had their Jude's phone, he was in the house with them also. So the three was there, and everybody else ran to the mission home. So then after that, it gets kind of a little more sketchy. Details, it's hard to, I don't know if sketchy is the word. It's hard to figure out exactly everything that took place, but they just basically opened up on the house down there, shot all the windows out. I got through 30, 45 minutes later, talked to them, and Jude's like, Pastor, it's not good. They just keep shooting. The windows are all shot out. And Davey says, please get some help. I said, son, I'm trying. We're calling everybody because I'm really tired. It's almost dark. And Natalie, I asked her, I said, well, how are you? And she goes, I'm okay. I said, well, we got people praying. And then it went silent for a while. And then probably about 10:30, 11 o'clock our time that evening, finally got the call from one of our staff members. She said the gang members just came back up, and they said they killed the two white people and the bad guy. They called Jude the bad guy, and that they were leaving and that we were all going to be okay. So I asked them to go down and figure out if what they're saying is really true. So they got a hold of one of the young men that we've raised, and he said we had to put the fire out first. They'd set the bodies on fire in the home, and they put them out and found out that they had passed, and what the gangs had said was true. So that's kind of a quick summary of things. There was a lot of other little things that took place, but it was a rough night.
It's interesting to me that I guess the gangs considered Jude the bad guy, so that the
Jude the bad guy. Yeah, I don't know why they considered Jude the bad guy. There was the young man that worked for us. I actually asked him. I said, "Can you please go before they were killed?" We assumed, and just see how much money they need to stand down. Usually, everything is a money, situation. So he got to the gangs and they roughed him up, and he said basically there was two groups arguing. One group was arguing that they needed to destroy everything that the missionary had built. Where they needed to destroy the school, the church, kill all the kids, kill all the staff, and just be done with them. And the other group goes, no, that's not what we were sent here to do. We were sent here to kill the missionary and his three kids. So I'm assuming from that comment that they did not know that Sam and I had left the day before, and then for some reason they were sent there to kill me and Davey, Natalie, and Sam. But nobody really knows. It doesn't make any sense. He said everybody was drunk, high, and demon possession was evident in many of them. That was out there as they were just saying nonsense stuff. So they argued back and forth and finally decided that they weren't going to destroy everything and kill the kids. It was just there to take care of the white people.
I mean, to a degree, it seems like God has sheltered you and Alicia in that sense. that it seems maybe he spared your life, perhaps to tell this story, perhaps to...
Yeah, that's one of the things I've talked to God about many times. But I'd much rather been me and let Davey and Natalie tell the story. In his own sovereignty, we have to trust that he knows best. And I know with them being young and so much life ahead of them, their story has reached around the world many times. And because of their example and because of their age and newlyweds, that it has been a lot more effective than if it would have been me. But I would have preferred it would have been me.
How have you guys been dealing with that? I mean, a lot of people, especially in America, would hear a story like this and question, why would God let something like this happen?
Oh yeah, I mean, we're humans. We have lots of questions. I've always told people, in our now going on 28 years of ministry in Haiti, we have seen the Lord just protect us so many times. I mean, I've been shot at twice. We've had kids kidnapped and brought back to us. Got back, they were reunited 21 hours later. And through the earthquake, I mean, I could take hours and just tell you testimony after testimony of times that the Lord intervened in our behalf on the way we prayed and the way we believed that he would. Even through this gang situation, there's been many, many miracles. We assumed that night it was all going to happen like it always has happened. God came upon the scene, intervened in our behalf, and he didn't. So that was one of the questions I had. Well, I say he didn't, but he did, but it was in his own way, in his way. But that was one of the main questions that I had after all this. Lord, where were you? You showed up so many times for us. Why didn't you show up that night? And after we went back a couple weeks later, kids had been relocated into a safer location. We were just visiting with the staff and kids, and I was still struggling with that question, God, where were you? They began to tell the testimony of how Davey preached to the first group, even as they beat him, and even to the point that they were saying, please, Davey, just lay there and don't say nothing. He said, I can't. He said, this might be the only chance these people have to hear about Jesus and what he's done for them. And then the second group come, and talking with Davey on the phone that twice about his head condition and probably had a concussion and just his fatigue that was setting in. And the testimony out of that was throughout the night, every time the shooting stopped, they could hear Davey's voice echoing across the compound, across the area, of him quoting scriptures in Creole, preaching to the guys in Creole, just telling them that what Christ has done for them and how this wasn't right. So after hearing that and knowing that he preached up to his final breath, that I do know that God showed up, and I've been able to settle that question, God, where were you? That knowing God was there because it was supernatural strength that gave him the ability to do that up to his very last breath. Humanly, it wouldn't be possible knowing the condition and hearing about what they had already done to him up to that point, to be able to stand there for, I don't know, hours, maybe hour, 2 hours, and continually preach, continually quote the scripture. And they said his voice was just the strongest they ever heard it. It was just echoing across the property. Some estimates are the 100 gang members that were in our property that night, with, of course, other gang members on the outside of the walls and the neighbors. So the gospel was heard by many that night. So that was one thing that I was able to settle, that God did show up. Yes, God does show up. Sometimes it's not in the way we want him to, but he was there. He did not neglect our prayers and all the prayers that was prayed that night, that he did show up. And just little things throughout the last 2 years that we faced. I know one time I was driving home from Tulsa here, and 4-lane road that goes to a little 2-lane curvy road to get to the house. And I was crying all the way down the 4-lane road. I said, God, I don't understand why, trying to give him all the attaboys that we've done, said, look what we gave our lives in Haiti and, serving you, and wasn't worried about our comfort and, different things. And now you allowed this to happen. Do you not care? Do you not, care about the pain that we're in? And I turned off that little 4-lane road into the 2-lane road. And there was a little curve and a driveway and a mailbox. And I mean, and a neon sign was there, and it said, God cares. And I was like, okay, so I guess God had somebody put that out there just for me, because I had just questioned him for about 10 miles of why he didn't care for us. And then that sign was put out. Since then, I've seen other little signs that those neighbors or those people had put out different things, but it was like mainly scriptures that they'll have a saying or God loves you or something. So, but that was the first time I'd seen it that time. So God does care. He is there for us. We go through, all the different emotions of this. Some days are easier than others, and some days you question God, and some days you understand. And it's been a roller coaster, but I'm thankful that God's been faithful through it all. I know initially I talked to somebody else that had been through a tragedy, and they said, you're going to have a lot of questions that says, why God? The why God questions. And that's nothing wrong with that. And they work through them, get in the Word of God, pray, take them to God, and He'll may not answer all of them, but He'll show you a few. But eventually you need to get to the place that you can say, what now, God? What do you have want us to do now? And maybe that's where we're at. I think that's where we're at with the book, Strong to the End. What now, God? And that is to get this story out there, let this book be used as a evangelism tool to deal with hearts, that they'll ask Christ, people will ask Christ into their life, and then to deal with hearts to sell out for Christ, to give their all for the kingdom of God. Because as one of Davy's favorite quotes from the time in his Bible college was from the pastor there, Danny Taylor. He said, you only have one life to live. Don't waste it on yourself. And it's true. We look at our life as a young person, we think, man, it's a long time, but I just turned 50 and I realize now life is not a long time, but eternity is a long time. And so what we do for Christ is what's going to matter for eternity. And I'm thankful that Davy, Natalie, and Jude gave their all for the kingdom, because they have their place in eternity now, and we'll get to see them soon.
I find it encouraging. I know, like in the first world America, we're kind of snowflakes. Like we think suffering is, Chick-fil-A is closed on Sunday. That's suffering to us. But, but this, in the face of this is really devastating. Just hearing your faithful carrying on is I find that really encouraging. So, yeah, thank you for your story. I'm curious, what's next for you guys? And would you happen to have any encouragement for young folks that are thinking about going into missions, about how to count the cost?
Yeah, so good question. So I used to have my life planned out for the whole year. By the end of December, I knew where I was going to be and itinerating in Haiti, have my tickets bought for the year, and kind of knew the direction we were going. Now for the last 2 years, it's one day at a time. Last year, the Bible college where Davy graduated from, we are actually graduates from that college also. And that's where the proceeds from the book is going to. They're building a new academic building in Davy and Natalie's honor. It'll be Davy and Natalie Academic Center there on the grounds. So they offered us position there. So we were able to, I was teaching, we was there 3 days a week, kind of just trying to influence young people to sell out for Christ and get involved in missions or whatever the Lord would have for their life, to do something that mattered for eternity. To encourage young people to join in, I told Lisa, it's kind of hard sometimes. Become a missionary, it might cost you your life, but in reality, it's true. There's many cases that you read about, sick, people are facing on the mission field. But once again, it's not about what's best for us, but it's what's best for the kingdom of heaven. And God is needing people that will answer the call. The needs are great. Haiti, every time we go, it just breaks our heart to see the physical needs, but also the spiritual needs of the country. And they can always use more missionaries there, but I know that's just one small place in the world. Maybe not to sound rude, but they need to get their head out of the sand and start reading about some other things that's going on around the world and see where God would have for you to do. And maybe even if you don't go there, just pray more, because prayer moves the hand of God. And if we get more people praying for these countries that are really under a lot of persecution, a lot of difficulties right now, I know that they appreciate it. One of our first interviews was with Voice of the Martyrs, and just being there with them and seeing all the persecution that the church is under throughout the world, in the world right now, even Latin America, South America, Africa, Asia, there's really no place you can't look and say, hey, there's persecution of the church. We need to pray more. And I just encourage people to do that. Let's just pray for the church, pray that God will call forth more laborers into the harvest field. Jesus himself said the the needs are great, the harvest is great, but the labors are few. Pray ye therefore the Lord of the harvest that he will send forth labors. So if Christ wanted us to pray that prayer request, we better be doing that on his behalf.
I guess I'll just put just one last question to you. You mentioned praying for the global church. Obviously, it's great. Obviously, we need the global church to encourage ourselves and contextualize how God is working, not in just one corner of the world, I guess.
Yes.
But how can our listeners be praying too for you guys, for your ministry, for Haiti?
Just pray for Haiti, because it's like I said in the beginning, it's one of the worst places, most dangerous places in the world right now. There is an international gang, they call it the gang suppression force, that has been there since April. They have not started operating fully yet. It's an international military force that is supposed to be coming to deal with the gang situation and make it manageable for the police of Haiti to deal with. We're praying that actually has success and it happens soon, so the people there can have a chance at life, because right now they don't know. They live it's one day at a time, and it's just so much suffering. So yeah, pray for Haiti. Pray that this will take place, that this gang suppression force can deal with the gangs, and that people can go back to their life. And then pray for revival for the country. God is moving in Haiti. Just pray that God will continue to move and that the people will continue to call out to him. And then for us, just that God will continue to strengthen us and enable us and give us the comfort that we need. Like I said earlier, some days are harder than others. Through people's prayers is what keeps us going day by day. And we're taking one day at a time as the Lord opens up opportunities to share about the book Strong to the End, or preach at a church, go to Haiti, teach at a Bible college. We're just trying to do what we can as the doors open. So appreciate your prayers.
You've been listening to His People on Pilgrim Radio. Many thanks to our guests, David and Alicia Lloyd, authors of Strong to the End, The Simple Service and Sudden Sacrifice of the Martyrs in Haiti. On tomorrow's program, it's Eric Scalise on the use of AI in mental health ministry.
And so when you query that, it searches only that database and within seconds pulls out responses pertaining to your question. That is a revolutionarily different approach to providing people with biblical help. Now, let me say this. It's still no substitute for human relationship.
That's tomorrow at the same time, right here on His People. Thanks for listening.